Innovative content. Global audience.
Here in the Federal Capital Territory, we're reaching live from our SRO TV studio here in Abuja. My name is Princess KESSY.
And I am Patience OKOSUN.
This is Wake Up Nigeria. You're welcome to the show. We have a lot of trending issues. We're still having the back and forth with the NAS member, the NAS leadership.
Yeah.
A lot of battles, issues going on there. And then we have issues as well. A lot of issues, but today, later on the show, I'm going to have a guest. Now, we have a lot of killings, a lot of kidnapping coming from Kaduna, Benue, and Niger, and the rest. And I'm going to be talking to one of the residents there to see how they are doing and how it is over there. So we're going to have him on the show later on. But before then, we're going to kickstart with the newspaper we have coming from the national dailies. I'm going to kickstart with the Blueprint newspaper. Now, these are some of the stories we have making wave. 10th NAS, Wase, Betare, Jaji take protest to APC secretariat. And the writer here says, insist Zone won't stand. Izunaso braces for Senate president. We will do the needful, party chair Adamo assures. Now, all the stories on page 7 of the Blueprint newspaper. We also have the major headline here that says Nigeria in trouble, exceeding borrowing limits. This is coming from the budget office. And the writer says, we are pushing towards 100% in debt service ratio. Buhari seeks fresh $800 million loan for 10.2 million household at 5,000 each. Now, this story is on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says, PT adjourns Obi's petition against Tinubu till May 17th. That story is on page 17 and 5 of the Blueprint newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says court bars NBC from imposing fine on broadcast stations. That story is on page 5 of the Blueprint newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Kwara court remands medical doctor for raping nurse. Sad one. The story, it's on page 9 of the Blueprint newspaper. We also have a story here that says Sudan jam to integrate student evacuees into Nigerian universities. That story is on page 15 of the Blueprint newspaper. And the last story here says CBN vows to penalize shipping lines over undocumented exports, and that story is on page 23 of the Blueprint newspaper. Yeah, a story here caught my attention. Kwara courts remands medical doctor for raping nurse. That is good. He should be tried and he should be put behind bars. We don't need such people in the society, because if you cannot, people working with you, if they cannot trust you enough to be around you, that means you can't work with. That means you can as well rape your patients.
Yes.
And it's really sad coming from a medical doctor. How can you rape a nurse? I don't understand what's going on. And I like this one as well. Sudan JAMB integrates student evacuees into Nigerian universities. That is really nice. They should stay back here and finish, even though we know the system here when it comes to education cannot be, I don't know, it's back and forth.
Yeah,
but it's better they are here, their lives are safe as well. And then we also have a story here. This one, I saw it and I smiled. Court bars NBC from imposing fine on broadcast station. Yes, so they stop gagging the press. Allow them
it's
to
actually
be free.
Going to be free.
Yes, we should be free. And CBN as well vows to penalize shipping lines over undocumented exports. That is good, because you must pay. The way we ship, and at the end of the day, we pay so much for clearing. The company should be able to pay the bills as well. And we also have this NAS borrowing. Nigeria in trouble.
I wanted to say
This is the last thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Nigeria in trouble. I need to bring a business expert.
Limits.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to really discuss.
I need a business expert here on the show. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe on Monday we're going to bring that business expert. Please, it's enough already. Presidency is enough. Don't borrow. And I don't understand. Look at this. Look at this rider that said Buhari seeks fresh $800 million loan for 10.2 household at 5. Are we begging him for 5,000? They should stop borrowing, because even if you give 5,000, it won't remove the poverty from people. How many days can somebody eat 5,000? Please, they should stop. We move on quickly to the next newspaper we have.
Also coming from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, the big headline here says, doubt over Buhari's fresh $800 million loan request. And then the rider here says, Nigerian fast exceeding borrowing limit, budget office. Total debt hits 77 trillion naira. New request, a parting gift, CDO. And then no justification to incur debt for incoming government. And then use savings from subsidy removal to fund palliative. Muda Yusuf. Find that story on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. We also have a story that says Tinubu left for Europe to reduce distractions, spokesperson. And then we have a story also, NBC lacks power to impose fines on broadcast station courts. And EFCC arrests Buhari's ex-power minister over 22 billion naira fraud. Okay, you find that story on page 14 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. And so we also have a story here that says Northwest deserves Senate presidency. Northwest deserves Senate presidency. And those are the story coming from the Daily Trust newspaper.
These lawmakers, I think we should at 2023 we should know that it's not about who deserves the area, but competent, the individual. They feel like, okay, they see that it's good enough to be a leader, not by who deserves, the area that deserves.
That's the same.
We've moved past that already.
Tinubu left for Europe to reduce distractions. Okay. He needs to go out because it's really back and forth, the dragging, the everything.
But we elected him. So why is he going to Europe?
That is, Nigerians are already bothered about his. He's already going to Europe. Hope when he becomes the president, he will be here for the people and not be going up and coming back every minute. Hopefully, we hope so. And then NBC lacks power to impose fines on broadcast station courts. Wow. Okay, I think I would like to see more.
Yes, I will move on quickly to the next newspaper we have. That will be coming from the News Direct. These are some of the stories making waves from the News Direct. 18 days to Buhari's handover. Budget office raises alarm over $800 million loan requests. And the rider says, tells lawmakers about Nigeria's limits borrowing space. Now, all these stories on page 3 of the News Direct. And we also have a story here that says invalid Lancers. NMDPRAC's 75 filling stations give May first deadline for compliance, and that story is on page 3 of the News Direct. We also have a story here that says Senate presidency. I am in the race to win, rebrand National Assembly for a new Nigeria. Osita Izu Naso on page 4 of News Direct. As well, we'll have a story here that says Abiodun inaugurates 150 million standard cubic feet natural gas facility in Ogu, and that story is on page 16 of the News Direct. As well, we'll have a story here that says NDDC to partner with UN agency on flood control in Niger Delta, and that story is on page 13 of News Direct. As well, we'll have a story here that says 22 billion naira. EFCC arrests former power minister over alleged fraud. That story is on page 3 of the News Direct newspaper. Now, these are some of the stories we have coming from the News Direct. I love the story here. NDDC to partner with UN Agency on flooding control in Niger Delta. We know that Niger Delta is one of the major zones, region where you have floodings ravaging the people and everything over there. So that's a very good move. I think we should work ahead of the flooding. And the rainy season is we're already in the season, because though we don't have a lot of rains here, but way back in Niger Delta is like it rains every other day. So they should do something. And this story here as well that says, I am in the race to win, rebrand Nigeria. They are just coming with different mandate, different story. Who do we believe? Who is sincere? Whose intentions are pure? These are the issues. And then I also saw a story here that says NMDPRA sees 75 filling stations. Give May 31st deadline for compliance. I don't know why somebody will just open filling station without license, invalid license. That is a very huge risk, if you ask me. We move on quickly to the next newspaper. We have
this morning, we're coming from this Nigerian. The big news here says 18 days to exit. Buhari asks for $800 million World Bank loan. And then the writer here says money to finance the National Social Safety Network Program. Money to finance the National Social Safety Network Program. Debt profile becoming unsustainable. Budget office cries out. And then you find that story on the front page 4 of this Nigerian newspaper this morning. We also have a story here that says PREPC adjourns Obi LP petition to May 17. APP withdraws suit against Tinubu. You find that story on page 12 of this Nigerian newspaper this morning. Senate indict Age NAFDAC 45 MDAs for financial infractions. Senate indict Age NAFDAC 45 MDAs for financial infractions. You find that story on page 5 of this Nigerian newspaper. EFCC arrests Mamman, ex-minister, over alleged 22 billion naira fraud. And then court bars NBC from imposing fines on broadcast station. You find that story on page 16 of this Nigerian newspaper this morning. Akeredolu fought APC zoning formula for 10th NAS. You find that story on page 5 and 14 of this Nigerian newspaper. I think the writer here says Wase Bitare other aspirants protest arrangement. And those are the story coming from this Nigerian this morning. Okay.
Wow. But funny enough, I don't know why the budget office is not crying out. I think this cry is coming rather late. They should have stopped this borrowing before now.
Not now. We are getting on to the limit.
He's already exiting office.
Yes, and then
we are almost 100%. Do they want to sell the youth at the end of the day to pay back? Because this is much. What are they doing with the monies? How can you say you targeted 10.2 million household at 5,000? We are not begging for. We don't need the money.
Well, anyway, I think they should do away with this loan, this request Buhari is making, because already he's leaving the office. He should allow the incoming government to continue from where he stopped.
Anyway, we move on quickly to the next newspaper, and this is this day newspaper. On this, coming from this day newspaper, the headline here says Akeredolu, APC zoning of NAS leadership squared, unjust, targeted against some zones, individuals. And the right that says aspirants threatening 2015 scenario may come into play. We are betrayed. Zoning formula won't stand, Wase insists. Another writer says attempt to force leadership will be resisted. Northern Group warns. We are making effort to pacify aggrieved contestants. Abbas hints. All the stories on page 14 of this day newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says respect as court bars NBC from imposing fines on broadcast station. Nullifies 2019, 5 million fans on 45 stations. All the stories are on page 14 of the newspaper as well. We also have a story here that says Tinubu depart Nigerian for Europe on working visits on page 15 of this day newspaper. We also have a story here that says Dangote NNPC can become African Saudi Aramco with right decisions, and that story is on page 14 of this day newspaper. These are all the stories we have coming from this day newspaper.
This zoning and rezoning and zoning that is going on in the APC, I wonder how many times they really want to do this zoning, but then they should do it once and for all. We need capable leaders.
I'm just thinking as well that I'm more concerned right now about this story here. Dangote has been saying over days now that there are ways we can work or things we can do to earn money
at
a particular period. And he's still saying that NNPC can become African Saudi Aramco with right decision. So why are we not making these decisions? If there's a way we can even progress as a nation and slow the pace at which we borrow from other nations, it will help us.
I think they should listen to Dangote, whatever decision.
And this Tinubu, our president-elect, I just really do hope that the trips will not be too often when it becomes a president.
That's what people are already
They need to stay here and face the country, whatever it is. Do your meetings here and do whatever you have to do here. Anyway, we move on quickly to the next newspaper we have.
This morning, coming from the Punch, the big headline here says Senate presidency, the Saints in APC aspirants demand fresh zoning formula. And then the writer here says APC zoning creating tension, cannot guarantee unity. Izunaso wants. North Central Senator writes APC chairman decries zoning exclusion. Okay, you find that story on page 2 of the Punch newspaper this morning. We also have a story, 4 men on trial for killing cousin. You find that story on page 26 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Lagos arraign Eze Ndibo for terrorism. You find that story on page 26 also of the Punch newspaper this morning. NNPCL needs huge investment to meet demand, Dangote. You find that story on page 11 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Subsidy, Buhari seeks approval of $800 million palliative loan. Okay, you find that story on page 10 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Trouble looms over rising debt, budget office warns. Okay, you find that story also on page 20 of the Punch newspaper. Ex-power minister arrested over alleged 22 billion naira fraud. You find that story on page 8 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Okay, those are the story making waves this morning coming from the Punch. 4 men on trial for killing cousin.
That was what came to my mind when I saw it, when you read it out. So I feel like at what point do cousins, blood relatives, we know that these days people even kill their parents for money, for rituals, or because they're angry over trivial issues. But this is really sad.
It's actually a sad one.
If you can't feel comfortable around your family, where can you be comfortable then?
It's actually sad.
It's sad. We'll move on quickly to the next newspaper we have, and that is the Punch newspaper. Beg your pardon, the Vanguard newspaper. These are some of the stories we have coming from the Vanguard. The major headline here says, 10th NAS leadership, senators elect, reps elect move for open contest. G7 aspirants woe opposition members elect. You betrayed us, aggrieved aspirants tell Adamu. National Working Committee, give us time to address your grievances. APC tells Wase, Batere, others. APC zoning formulas unworkable, reinforces injustice. Akira Dolu urges National Working Committee to convene NEC. APC zoning templates a Lagos affair, aggrieved aspirants. I am reaching out to other aspirants. Abbas Gbajabiamila meets joint task group, APC loyalist. Now, all these stories on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. We also have a story here that says UK court permits Kanu to appeal judgments in favor of FCDO, and that story is on page 11 of the Vanguard newspaper. We also have a story here that says how bandits try to cripple northern states economy, Governor El-Rufai, and that story is on page 13 of the Vanguard newspaper. There's a story here that says NGE hails court for stopping NBC from finding broadcast station on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. We'll have a story here that says Buhari writes Senate seeks approval of $800 million loan on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. We also have a story here that says presidential poll. Court adjourns Obi's petition against Tinubu to May 17 on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. We also have a story here that says Dangote Elumelu hails NNPCL's performance under Kyari on page 27 of the Vanguard newspaper. We also have a story here that says BVN has no expiry dates. CBN on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. We have a story here that says Eaglets go for World Cup ticket against Burkina Faso on page 30 of the Vanguard newspaper. We have a story here that says 22 billion naira for the FCC arrest ex-power minister Sali Maman on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. And the last story here says headers kill 3 Benue community volunteer guards, order 3 others on page 6 of the Vanguard newspaper. These are some of the stories we have coming from the Vanguard this morning.
Well, I was happy we're getting close to the end of the newspaper review, and I've not read anything like kill or bandits or something. I didn't know we're still going to read that, because there's virtually no day we come here that we don't get to see bandits or kill or raid, and it's quite unfortunate. But then I hope the government will put more effort into the security agencies to see that these people, like you usually say, are being placed in the right places to save lives.
What caught my attention on this paper now, Vanguard, is that these Benue headers kill 3 Benue community volunteer guards.
That's
now, these
what
are
I'm
people that
saying.
came out to say,
They
okay,
want
let's
to
see
do
if I can
this.
help to try my best, since the government is not helping us. How do you think others will want to come out to help? Nobody will come out.
Nobody. And that's why I said these security issues, we really need to tackle it.
It's really sad.
It's
sad. And then we saw a story here that is coming from El-Rufai this morning, how bandits try to cripple northern states' economy. Governor El-Rufai. And that story is on page 13 of the Vanguard newspaper. I thank God my guest today is from Kaduna, and then we're going, these are some of the questions we'll be throwing to him. We move on quickly to the last newspaper we have.
And so that's the Punch Sports Extra this morning. The big news here says Glory Chasers, Eaglets battle young Etalons for World Cup sports. And then Ubade confident of qualification. Okay, that story is the big story on the front cover of the Sports Extra this morning. We also have a story here that says fans fume over reported Igalo sale for Messi as El Hilal offer Argentine 435 million euro a year. And then we also have a story here. United plan club record bid for Ramos. So we have a story here. Blues offer Arumayan Kokula for Felix. And so coming from the Champions League this morning, Man United, Milan 0, Inter 2. We also have a story here that also says Osine, Haaland, same Capello, coming from Capello this morning. So I think those are the major story making. And then we also have a story here that says Madrid have nothing to fear at Itan. You find that story on page 8 of the Punch Sports Extra this morning. I think those are
Yes, I
some of
can
the
see
stories.
the glory chasers on page 6, and we see Nigeria versus Burkina Faso there. I
Yeah.
think if you really ask me though, I think people say I'm biased, but sorry viewers, but I just think the Eaglets are doing well more than
More
the
well, the
Eagles.
ego.
I'm not really a
Yes,
football fan
of
though,
course.
but that's
Even I think I'm trying. I watch,
mm,
but then you're completely right. The Eaglets are doing well. The Eaglets are going far. They are getting to at least semi-finals. They play. They are playing well, and they are winning to a point. As they are winning, they are doing really well. And then kudos to our Eaglets out there. And then this is actually a wake-up call to the Eagles. The guys, they need to wake up and see that they represent us well,
well.
because Nigerians are not smiling.
Well, that would be a good place to wrap up the reviews this morning. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll be coming back with a guest. Now, don't go anywhere. Stay with us. We have a lot of pressing national issues we need to discuss. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Everything happens for a reason. Bless life from a different prison. Bless a lot of people locked up in bedtimes, 7 o'clock.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Ice Prince Amani.
Ginger, aka Swagga Swagga. But my name now is Femi, aka the Music and Taliban.
What up, Nigeria? K to the O to the NGA Conga.
Afrobeat Night.
Afrobeat Night. The Afrobeat Night.
Afrobeat Night.
Nigerian Week in London.
The Nigerian Week.
The Nigerian Week. The Nigerian Week.
On the 19th of this beautiful month of May 2023.
May 19th.
May 19, 2023. Let's go get your ticket.
Go get your ticket because we're gonna shut it down.
Ice Prince Amani's in the building.
Get.
Ice Prince. Yeah. Ice Prince.
Okay, my people, it could not be better than this. The Nigerian Week in London 2023 got you covered to the extent that you can get a free ticket to the event. And this is all you need to do. Go to the Google Play Store and download TapTap app. Send as low as £1 to the account in Nigeria using SRTV as your transaction code. Screenshot your transaction and send to 447-459-513619 or email it to event@superiorradioandtelevision.com and the ticket will be sent to you ASAP. This is powered by SRTV London and TapTap Send. You already know what time it is. Your boy Ice Prince Amani. I can't wait.
Welcome back from that quick break. Like I did promise before that break, I was going to come back with a guest I have with me via call live. Ifeanyi Mike Paul. Good morning.
Morning to you, KESSY.
Good morning.
Everyone in SRTV this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, you're
Nice
welcome.
rest, and how are you all doing today?
Well, fine,
Fine.
thank you. How are you? And how is Kaduna today?
Good. Kaduna is good. It's fine. It's cold, and just good. We are fine here.
Yes, on a
Happy to be
quick.
on your show this morning again.
Yes, you're highly welcome. Nice to have you as well. On a quick one, Ifeanyi Mike Paul, we know that you are a Kaduna resident, and that's one of the reasons we brought you on the show. Now, there is no day we sit here on the newspaper reviews, we don't hear issues of killing, kidnapping, adopting, communities being raised down by bandits. Now, how is the situation there in Kaduna? We know that you might be in the city center and these things happen maybe at Ket or in the villages, but how is it over there generally?
Yeah, not fewer than for some time now. Not fewer than more than 29 people have been killed in this fresh attack by bandits on this Rojia village, Zango Kataf. It's just been around Zango Kataf more of the time where they have banditry issues and attack in one of the communities in southern part of Kaduna.
Okay.
With the Commissioner of State and Internal Affairs, Sam Arua has confirmed that the incidents So the governor have deployed soldiers down to those affected communities and areas where it's been attacked. So the situation is, the government is working on the situation.
You feel like the situation is under control as we speak?
Yes, for now, but we really do not know what the interest is around that Zango-Kataf area that is always attacked.
And then, yes, on the headlines, one of the headlines today, coming from the Vanguard newspaper, we saw that El-Rufai says is raising an alarm that bandits are trying to cripple the northern economy. Now, do you think what's your take on that headline? He said how bandits try to cripple northern states' economy. Governor El-Rufai this morning. Now, that is the news. Yes.
If I may speak on this issue now, the bandits are not stronger than the government. So the government they have more equipment, they have more manpowers to overshadow the bandits. They know what to do. They know how to take these people down. Nobody's bigger than the government in any state, in any country. So it's just a mere word. He knows where to get them. He knows how to get them.
And then, I would have. What do you think about state policing?
Yeah, state policing. I think that is the best thing we should have in our state, because these are the people that knows the community. These are the people that knows the people in the community. The state policing. These same people knows the people in that same community, because you cannot bring someone from Cross River State to come and work in Kaduna State.
That is right.
The state policing, it is the same community. I think that would just be the best thing for any of us.
But on a second thoughts, Mr. Ifeanyi, now we saw also on the news this morning that says 3 volunteer guards killed in Benue State, others also killed. It's just on the news now. So now what's your take on this? Because these are people that volunteered to come out since they feel like the government is slow in responding, or maybe there is no aid, no help from nowhere. They decided to volunteer, they came out, and now they've lost their lives. So do you think this state policing thing will stand or will work?
When we talk about the volunteer guide to come over to take over the security aspect, it's nothing to write about, because these people are not trained.
Okay.
They're not equipped.
That's true.
You don't go to fight people with ammunitions. You don't do that. The government will train these local people, well trained, and enforce them. Then you put them back into the streets. You don't just wake up and say you want to do a volunteer guide to go and counter someone with a gun. No way, you cannot survive that. So the state policing, they will be trained,
That is true.
They'll be trained.
Now, when we look at the north, let's make Kaduna, Benue, Niger, even Kogi, sometimes Kogi, and other northern states. With the way they are ravaging these states, terrorism, bandits, now what becomes of the future? We're talking about the youth now. I brought you in because you're a youth yourself. What are our expectations? What are we looking up to? What is that? Because at this point, we feel like nothing is being done. It's one killing or the other. Each day we sit here, these are the things we see on daily basis. What is the future or the hope of the youth?
When you talk about the future and the hope for the youth, it's really something we all are working to see, because the ravage of this banditry, kidnap in Kaduna State, church in the Kogi State, Benue State, the security agents, the top government officials, they know what is happening in this country. That they don't want to empower the youth, so the youth will not be in the position where the youth will speak. They are afraid of the youth. They want power to remain with them. They can only transfer power to their own circles. But in the due time, I know they're going to flush them out from government. We'll take over.
And don't forget, yes, don't forget also yesterday on the news we read where 54 persons were actually kidnapped from the church. So what is the future of the people when people on a daily basis are being kidnapped, carried away, killed? So at the end of the day, how do people survive there? What do you think is the hope for the youth there with this kind of killings we see on daily basis?
When I hear news is where I see 54 people were kidnapped and taken away, how do these people pass? How do these people come in? How do they take 57 people? Where do they pass? How do they walk? Do they just fly, or do they disappear, or do they walk in the streets where you have securities? It's so alarming that sometimes you don't even understand what is happening. You come to pick up 57 human, like a slave trade. You walk them down the road and no security, no alerts, nobody was informed. No, the government isn't telling us what is happening.
Okay, there was a time we had a guest on the show from Kaduna also who said something. He said both the securities there are part of the people, and some of them are part of the people that does this crime, that carries out this crime in the state. How true is that? What do you have to say about that?
I cannot say if the securities are involved in it or they are not involved in this, but it is an irony where we have security around your place and somebody will just come in with a vehicle or will straight line up people and walk down the forest. No, it's uncalled for.
So what do you think we do, Shady? Because you're a youth, and this is the recurrence, especially in Kaduna, where you're based, where you live, where you work. Now, what do you think we do?
As a youth, we are. I don't know what I'm going to say this, but I know we are still putting heads together to see how we can fit in the government. If we are being allowed to play good roles, better position, key points in every government, I think we will affect the life of the common people. We could have communication with them and we know what is wrong with them at the time. We know where they're coming. We know how to face it, Not these archaic old men that are just sitting in the office. Some people works in, some government officials are supposed to be in Kaduna, but they're in Abuja. You have some state governors that is governing the states from the central. You stay in Abuja and you govern your state. So how do you talk to the people? How do you communicate with the people?
Now, just before we let you go, Mr. Ifeanyi, I am more concerned about the future of the youth. Now, when we look at the killings, a lot of youths, a lot of old people, a lot of children are being affected. Now, what's your advice to them? The residents, now, let's start with the resident before we now go to the government.
Yeah. For the future of the youth, I believe if we as youth can come up together, put our heads together to work together, we are going to achieve just that goal of building a better Nigeria. It's just a matter of time.
I'm talking about the youth in Kaduna now, people in these zones where they are the communities that are being ravaged.
They should just, for me, what I can say for the youth, for where all the affected areas all over Nigeria, in Kaduna, in Benue, in Kogi State, they should all work together, team up as a group, get a spokesperson for them who can assess the government, and them on their own should create alliance with the security,
Okay.
They should create alliance with security and build up a team for themselves, not to be betrayed, but they could work out things together, put heads together, and protect the community, protect the environment. With the help of the security, they can achieve that. When you see wrong movement, unexpected people in your community, you report to the appropriate people You know, I think it's really going to help.
All right now, to the government, what do you have to say then about these killings? We're making Kaduna, Benue, Niger, Kogi a case study this morning.
To the government, I can say they should please look into this. They've got security operative everywhere. They've got commissioner for internal security. They've got commissioners of police in every of the states. They've got army chiefs in every of the states. They've got navies. They've got air force. It takes nothing to fly a chopper around your states to surveillance. It takes nothing to do that. Surveillance. You check, your environment, the forests. It takes nothing. They can do that. It will cost them nothing to fly choppers around the communities. Talk to the communities, go to meet them. What is happening in your community? How do we come in? With all these, I think all this banditry, they're not bigger than the government. They're never bigger than the government.
Okay, just before you go, you said you're in Kaduna, and this morning, relatively, you're telling us it's peaceful, right?
Yes, Kaduna is peaceful.
Very well then. Thank you so much.
Kaduna is one of the most peaceful places you can really find yourself. But
so where are these killings coming from? Where are these kidnappings, adoption, killings?
These are the villages.
Okay.
Far villages, and it's just a specific area in southern part of Kaduna where you have all this banditry like that of Zango Kataf. In Kataf local government, that is where you have this. And the government should just look into these places, send troops, they send security agents to those places. It gets worse in every day. Maybe before the end of today, we might still hear that these people still came in to Zango Kataf to come and pick people, to come and kill. So when the government send security men to that post, it takes nothing.
It's really sad. That was my thoughts as well. When you know that these people are being killed, when you know that this particular place is being attacked, this area they are vulnerable as well. Why not set up an army camp or army there, so that they are able to know that we have army people here where there's peace to an extent.
I tell you something. You can check it on your Google. You can go to the history. Kaduna State is where you have the best military camps in Nigeria.
Okay.
In southern Kaduna, you have school of the Navy school here. They have artillery for weapon and what. See, in southern Kaduna, they have got a lot of soldier Navy.
But then, how come we're still having this kind of kidnappings, killing rates on daily basis? If we have
politics is just too much. The politics is just too much. You talk about strong officers in Nigerian army. Today, more of them are from southern Kaduna parts of Nigeria, and we don't know why all this is coming up from. It is more political than we think. Maybe there's a special interest in this Zango Kataf. There's a special interest in this southern Kaduna. Really, you have more natural resources. You have more ginger as well. You have more of natural resources that are not mined out Kaduna State. They are more in southern Kaduna. So there is more political than we think about this. It's more political than we think.
I really do hope that the government will keep doing what they are doing, and of course should do more. Not even because I feel like the response is quite slow. That is why we sit here every day. We hear this news every day. We see them every day. It's really sad. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I've been talking with Ifeanyi Mike Paul. He's a Kaduna resident. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time, Ifeanyi.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please subscribe.
Thank you, TV. Thank you, KESSY.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know how you call it. I don't know her name, but I know KESSY.
Thank you very much. I'm Pat.
Her name is Pat.
Pat.
Yes, sir.
Thank you both.
Please do well to subscribe and help others to subscribe to SRO TV as well. That's the tax I'm giving you now. Please make sure we have 10 subscription from you today. That would be nice.
Okay. God bless you.
Bless you too. Have a nice day. Please, while you're out there, stay safe and be careful out there, please.
Thank you, the devil. I'm safe.
Yes, we've been on the phone with Ifeanyi Mikepo, a resident of Kaduna. We've heard him. This is more, maybe this is this is more political than
he said that he doesn't really actually
the interest.
It shouldn't be in expense of people's life. Whatever they are dragging, whatever is actually in that Dango Qatar, I think that's what we call the place. It shouldn't be in expense of the indigents, their lives, properties.
This is unheard of. Sometimes I sit here, I read these headlines, I just have goosebumps. I feel cold. I feel for these people.
Yeah.
Talking about Kaduna resident, the northern part, these people at the villages, at the grassroots areas. We'll talk about people from Benue, Niger, Kogi. I do feel for them. Please, government, if you're watching us, please do well to put the life of the people first. This is your mandate when you came into power, is to secure the people first. So I don't know why we keep having this Kaduna crisis, Benue crisis. It's too much. These are human beings we're talking about, not just chickens or not just animals. They are human beings. So please do well to safeguard the life of the people. This would be a good place to wrap up the show this morning. Thank you so much for being part of the show, and thank you, Pat, for being on the show this morning. It's been a fun ride. Just before we go, please hit on the notification bell, share our content, like the page, invite somebody to the page, and let that person also invite another to the page. And don't forget our Nigerian Week London that is fast approaching. We're counting days to the events already, and please do where to get your stand, your tickets, and it's going to be fun. You know how it is when we turn up somewhere. The food, the music, the film, and of course the business opportunity. We have a lot of ministries, agencies, superstars from the Nollywood music stars that are already partnering with. Also do well to be part of that event. You don't want to be left out. And while you are out there, also especially those in Kaduna, those in Benue, Kano, those in Kogi, and even Niger, take care of yourself while you're out there. Stay safe, be at alert as well. You cannot be too careful, but please stay safe. And the drivers also, this is rainy season. Make sure your wipers, your tires, your side mirrors are working well. Drive carefully. I'm just this morning on my way to work. Do you know this traffic light here before the office?
Yeah.
Do you know I was driving and then it was always showing ready to stop. So the thing just had to, the red light just popped out and then popped up, and I had to stop at the zebra crossing. I just stopped. And the one beside me had to just keep going. The next thing, another car that is supposed to be his right to pass and was already going. They just, as in, it was so serious. Like I didn't even I just closed my eyes. God, what kind of thing is this?
That's so bad.
Because somebody decided to be stubborn, to beat traffic. You are in a hurry to wear, and at the end of the day, you still will not meet the time, the appointment, or the place you're rushing to. Yes. Now, probably you would have injured yourself, taken to the hospital, take your car to the mechanic. These are some of the issues. So it wouldn't hurt you, to stay for just 1-2 minutes. Obey traffic laws, please. And will not forget to greet the people behind the camera, the crew. Thank you. Well done. Even our crew in London, thank you for all you do. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Before we go, remember,
do not forget, peace is priceless.
So let's give peace a chance. I am yours truly, Princess KESSY.
And I am Patience OKOSUN.
See you tomorrow.
Everything happens for a reason. Bless life from a different prison. Bless a lot of people locked up in bedtime 7 o'clock.